Charles Dickens. You will observe that I do not look like myself. This is because I speak to you from the body of and with the voice of the man who called me up from the spiritual world, channeled me, as the saying goes, an aged former professor of English literature at Luther College. And that voice, which you hear, unfortunately, is incapable of producing an English voice. And so I must make do with the voice that has been provided by my caller-up, my channeler, Mr. Nelson, who seems to have written a book about me. I hope it's any good. Well, as I said, I have been called here to celebrate the 200th anniversary, to help celebrate the 200th anniversary of my birth. I'm naturally gratified that Luther College's Preus Library has planned to help to green my memory. I wrote a Christmas carol, which I understand is also a part of this celebration. I wrote that in 1843. I had already published 5 long novels beginning in 1836, so in 7 years I had published 5 long novels. I was working on my 6th novel, Martin Chuzzlewit, when I published Christmas Carol. And this came out, as did all my novels, all my long novels, in monthly installments, which readers bought at the price of 1 shilling. I had correctly calculated that many more people would be able to buy a 20th of a novel at 1 shilling than who would be able to spend a guinea and a half for the complete volume at one time. That amounts to 31 shillings and 6 pence. Following the publication of A Christmas Carol, I wrote 3 more novelettes for the Christmas book trade, and I also wrote, during my career, 5 more long novels, including David Copperfield. The 5 that I wrote before A Christmas Carol included Oliver Twist, which you may certainly, some of you may have read. Any of you read Oliver Twist? Thank you. And David Copperfield, about David, very good. I am gratified. And I wrote 3 shorter novels, which were published in weekly installments in my magazines, which I edited, by the way, from 1850 until my death in 1870. Some of you may have read A Tale of Two Cities. Anybody? Yes, yes. Or Great Expectations. Or both. Wonderful. Then I was at work on The Mystery of Edwin Drood in 1870, when I shuffled off this mortal coil, to quote another English writer, and entered the spirit world. I was only 58 years old. If you have seen a picture of me taken, say, in 1868 or 1869, 1 or 2 years before my death, you would certainly have thought that I was much older than that, probably older than the man whose body I am forced to speak through. But I can say with great assurance that I worked a great deal harder than he did. Besides those long novels, I wrote many, and the Christmas novelettes, Christmas books. I wrote many essays and short stories for the 2 weekly magazines that I edited for the last 20 years of my life. I have letters. My letters fill a 12-volume edition. I hope the library, yes, I think I see one. The library has the edition. I was in much demand as a public speaker on topics that I was passionately interested in. I also directed and managed and acted in certain plays, traditional plays, put on for public charity purposes. I had an active social life, very active. And the last 12 years of my life, I read over 400 times, 472 in fact, of public readings from my novels and short stories. 75 of them, incidentally, were done between the 3rd of December and the 20th of April, 1867 and 1868, something under 5 months. 75 in the eastern United States. So I think you will agree that I earned the stroke which brought to an end my mortal life. But to the present moment. I understand that this Nelson has written a dramatic sketch which is based upon A Christmas Carol. And that you are to be subjected to it when I relinquish the stage. I have nothing against the theater per se. In fact, but for a severe cold that prevented me from auditioning for a professional acting position, I might very well have spent my entire career in the theater. But I have reason to be wary of what you are about to see, because when my novels prospered, certain unscrupulous theatrical types would cobble together, for the purpose of earning a dishonest pound or two from my creative works, grotesque caricatures of those works and shuffle them onto the stage, presenting the public with travesties of the creative works that I had produced. And I had absolutely no power to prevent this. So I must say that I have some trepidations about what is to come when I relinquish this stage. I have only one more thing to say, and that is that I assure you I have had nothing whatever to do with what you are about to see. I can feel Professor Nelson struggling to regain his body, and I don't think I can hold out much longer, and therefore I had better retire. As you have just heard Mr. Dickens say, his beloved Christmas Carol was published for the Christmas book trade in 1853. It was instantly popular and has remained so ever since. It has been dramatized, filmed, and read aloud. Dickens himself began the tradition of reading aloud in December 1853, and his career of public readings from his works, he read it a total of 127 times. However, he edited and re-edited his text for public readings. His first version took 3 hours. By 1857, he had shortened it to 2.5 hours, and a year later to 2, and by the end of 1858, to 1.5 hours. And now, to make A Christmas Carol more available to the contemporary listener, I have improved on Dickens's own revision by getting all the essential elements in the story into a version lasting just 13 minutes. Give or take a few seconds. The first necessary element, of course, is Ebenezer Scrooge as Grinch. I will begin, however, to establish the ambience? Who wrote this? The atmosphere, as a mark of respect for the master, with the opening paragraphs of the King Charles version. Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good on the market, stock market, for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. But Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral and solemnized it with an undoubted margin. The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood years afterward above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both of them. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone. Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Now, so much for the text. Now I turn to the improved, compact text of A Christmas Carol. Good writing, as we all know, is a matter of combining conciseness with telling, illustrative, and explanatory details. Further, as George Orwell said, prose should be like a window pane. This is the reason that this text, this improved text, is not loaded with Dickensian floridity and extravagance. It only gets in the way. To begin then by establishing the Grinchness of Scrooge, economically and vividly, we go directly to the scene in which Bob Cratchit asked Scrooge for a special day off. Scrooge and Cratchit.
Tomorrow's Christmas Day, sir.
It can't be. It just was.
That was last year, sir.
Of course it was. But now it's this year.
It's come again, sir. December 25th.
Well, then be here all the earlier.
No, sir. You're not supposed to say that yet.
Who are you to tell me when I'm supposed to say something? You're a 15-shilling-a-week clerk.
Yes, thank you, sir. That's a splendid salary, sir.
You think it's splendid? That's why you are just a 15-shilling-a-week clerk.
Thank you, sir. Now about Christmas Day, sir.
What? Here again already?
Yes, sir. And I wish to have a holiday with my family. And we will toast you, sir, as the founder of our feast, as usual.
You're a pack of fools. 15 shillings a week I pay him. You'll want all day too, I suppose?
It's quite convenient, sir.
Well, it's not convenient. It's not fair to pick a man's pocket every 25th of December, but I suppose you must have the whole day.
Thank you, sir. Now you say it, sir.
Say what?
Be here all the earlier the next morning.
I'll be here when I choose, don't tell me.
The second necessary element in A Christmas Carol is the supernatural. That appears first when Scrooge, after taking his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, comes home to his chambers, which used to belong to his dead partner, Marley. There was a knocker on the door at the street entrance. At this point in Dickens's text, Marley's face, no, wait a minute, Marley enters holding door and plays door as an oval cutout mark by Superman. At this point in Dickens's text, Marley's face turns back into a knocker and Scrooge goes inside and climbs the stairs to his chamber. This can be tightened greatly, dramatically, as follows. Scrooge grunted,
Ah, humbug.
entered the building, and closed the door. Marley pivots with the door, ending back to the, oh, that's right. Only to find the rest of Marley inside.
Ebenezer, nice to see you. How's business?
None of your business. You're dead.
I may be dead, but there's no reason to treat me like a doornail.
What are you doing here? You're not needed. Nothing wrong with that knocker.
I'm here to do you a favor.
Well then, do it. Let me get on upstairs to my little saucepan of gruel.
We're going to have a visitor.
A visitor? There's only enough gruel for me. What visitor?
You'll see. Merry Christmas.
Oh, humbug. Bah!
This is where, in the original, once Scrooge gets to his chamber, we have the main action of the story, which involves a second necessary element, ghosts, and culminates in the third necessary element, Scrooge's conversion from a Grinch to a good-hearted, grandfatherly old geezer. Now, you may have noticed that Marley said a visitor. In the original, there are 3 visitors, 4 actually, since all of Marley turns up, this time in the original version 2, to announce the coming of the other 3, the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas yet to come. This, I have decided, is typical Dickensian excess. Of course, we know that 3 is a special number, hallowed in myth and legend and story, but 1 is also a special number. And so, in this version of A Christmas Carol, condensed for greater impact, I have blended all 3 into 1. Ghost. This Unighost, as you see, has a bright, clear jet of light springing from the crown of its head, like the ghost of Christmas past, and is wearing a mantle and is barefooted, like the ghost of Christmas present, and is hooded, like the ghost of Christmas yet to come. In like fashion, I have compacted the action. Scrooge, Bob Cratchit, Bob Cratchit.
What are you doing here, Bob Cratchit?
God bless you, sir. Everyone.
You're not supposed to say that.
Get out of here, you 15-shilling-a-week clerk.
How do you know my salary?
That's no mystery. I'm a ghost. Are you frightened?
Of course I'm frightened. You're a ghost, aren't you? I'm a reasonable man, so I'm reasonably frightened.
Good. That saves time. You don't need to take all those drafty flights into the past or all over England tonight or invent scenes to visit in the future. If you're frightened already, that is. You said you were, didn't you?
Yes, I said so. I was, I am, I will be.
No. Because you were and you are, you won't be. That's what I mean. You're converted now.
I am?
Of course. I'm a ghost. 3 ghosts in 1. I know.
But shouldn't I have to see some evidence to convince me?
Evidence? What for?
Well, you know, proof.
Proof? I don't have to prove it. I said it. That's proof. That's the way college students prove things in their papers. They say it. They think that's enough to prove things to their teachers. Are you dumber than them?
Then who then? Whom?
Their teachers.
I'm converted. Right. I'm not Othello. I don't need ocular proof. I'm Scrooge. And now a good-hearted, grandfatherly old geezer.
There's a good one to practice on. Go on, tweak his beard. That's it.
What's going on here?
You go for his pocketbook.
What's going
There's
on?
nothing in his pocket, Fagin.
Fagin? You're not in Christmas Carol, you're in Oliver Twist, you twit.
Well, sir, Oliver Twist by Dickens, right, sir?
Yes, but we're doing Christmas Carol, not Oliver Twist. You and your pigments, get out of here. Go pick their pockets. At least Oliver. Get out of here. Out of here. Out, out. At least Oliver wasn't one of them with his eternal, please, sir, I want some more. Sorry about that. Well, where were we? Oh, yes. Scrooge is now a good-hearted, grandfatherly old geezer. And so you see how much time a little expert cutting and reconception can save. Now, we will perform one final piece of plastic surgery on the original, and our revels will be ended. In a rather primitive violation of dramatic unity, Dickens has that converted Scrooge send a turkey incognito to Bob Cratchit's house and delays the revelation of his new self to Bob Cratchit until the next morning at the office. It makes a much more dramatic and unified version to have Scrooge, now a good-hearted grandfatherly old geezer, deliver the turkey himself. And here comes the turkey. Bob Cratchit and your door, Bob Cratchit and your door. Bob Cratchit, door.
There never was such a turkey as I am. I have to ride in this here wheelbarrow because I'm so huge I can't stand on my legs. I could snap them off short in a minute like sticks of sealing wax I would. Oh, hello, house.
Well, after all, there is, you know, a supernatural element already in the story. What's it about talking turkey? Cratchit and Mrs. Cratchit.
Oh, where could this turkey have come from? Oh, I wish my husband, Bob Cratchit, my husband, and our tiny crippled Tim's son, our son crippled Tim, Tim crippled our tiny son.
Our crippled son.
Thank you. We're here, and here they come.
Yes.
And here they come now. Where am I? Little tiny son who crippled our Tim. I'm carrying him. Oh, Bob. And what's your name? Look who's here. Eyeglasses. Everyone. Glasses. Everyone.
Yes, Bob, it is I, Ebenezer Scrooge, former Grinch, now GGOG. I'm now the founder of the feast, for real.
And Scrooge so became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old, hold it down, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laugh to see the alteration in him, but his own heart, hold it down, and laughed, and that was quite enough for him, and it was all said of him that he knew how to Tiny Tim down, if any man alive did. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, down.
What?
What you've been saying. Now.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. I'd like some more.
Perfect. Sorry about that, too. I wonder if Mr. Dickens is allowed to hear any of that. While I was beaming down, I thought I heard Oliver. If I did, my fears about this stage version of my carol were not unjustified. Well, no help for it. What's done is done. Do you have any questions? I have one first. Who are these people with those absurd placards? Identify yourself.
Oh, I am the turkey and pickpocket.
And?
Mrs. Cratchit.
And?
Oliver and Fagin.
And?
I am Bob Cratchit, the clerk.
Sir.
Oh, Tiny Tim and Marley.
ghost?
Well, are there any questions about the compacted version or about anything about Dickens at all? I am prepared to respond in whatever fashion is suitable to the questions, whether they are frivolous or actually serious questions.
Is there cake, sir?
I take that as a serious question, and yes, there is cake. Perhaps we had just as well retire to the cake room over to the right and celebrate gustatorially the birthday, the 200th birthday of Charles Dickens. Thank you all for coming.